The FBI is reporting that people in the United States lost a whopping $5.6 billion. That's billion with a B, to cryptocurrency scams last year alone. And unfortunately, older people, senior citizens suffered the worst losses. Now, the FBI's first annual cryptocurrency fraud report was published on Monday, and it shows the following: that people in the United States reported more than 69,000 complaints last year saying they had been scammed into sending cryptocurrency to criminals, often by using commonly available crypto ATMs. I do not dabble with crypto. I did not realize that there are now crypto ATMs. I thought some of these people were boomers, but it turns out I'm the boomer. Because okay, people 60 years and older filed more than 16,000 complaints of cryptocurrency fraud and reported losing over $1.6 billion, much more than any other age group. People under 20 had the fewest, with 858 complaints, totaling almost $15 million, which, by the way, is still a pretty big number. Now, scammers prey on older people because older people are not as well versed in some cases. I don't want to make a general statement or a blanket statement, but generally speaking, if you look at age groups, older people are less well versed in some of this technology, like cryptocurrency. By the way, I'm not well versed in cryptocurrency, so I just want to be honest about that. Some scammers acted as fake tech support, while others impersonated government officials. The vast majority of reported losses, almost $4 billion, were a result of investment scams, a category that the FBI uses primarily to refer to so-called pig butchering scams. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, we're about to get into it. And that's a 53% increase from the $2.57 billion losses reported in 2022. So let's learn about these pig butchering scams, because I didn't know what they were until I watched this.
Pig butchering got its name due to the nature of how it's typically executed. The victim is first fattened up.
Our scammers will spend up to 4 to 5 hours a day texting their victims. The victim will note that this scammer has become the relationship they always wished they had. Holding their hand through every piece of it, they will direct our victims to take money out of their banks and invest it into what they believe is a cryptocurrency platform. Our scammer already knows, because they've spent this extended time with our victim, that our victim has a 401k, that they have college funds for their kids. And this scam will not end until our scammer gets every last penny that our victim has.
Oh, it's so terrible. I mean, when you think about how they're wiping people out, wiping people's retirements, 401ks out like this, it really is sick. It destroys people's lives. I mean, that's their life savings gone. Now, pig butchering scams were reportedly the most lucrative form of cyber fraud last year, and by far, with an average theft of nearly $5,000 per victim. Unfortunately, some people lose much, much more. I mean, if we're talking about people who are kind of getting their 401ks involved, obviously it's going to be much, much more. Let's take a look.
For Shai Plonsky, a single dad, yoga and meditation are very important, especially after finding himself the victim of a scam that drained his savings and broke his heart. A woman calling herself Sandy caught his eye on a dating site, and a relationship ensued quickly. Sandy told Shai she made a lot of money investing in crypto. His business had struggled during COVID, and he soon asked for advice on how to invest his savings.
Were you ever able to get it back?
No, I definitely was not able to get it back.
I met my scammer through a dating app called Bumble, where he spent about 6 weeks courting me before I made my first investment into a cryptocurrency fraudulent website domain. I lost 152,000 USD.
Oh, it's a disaster. So it's not just the people getting money stolen who are victimized by these schemes. So a United Nations report also found that pig butchering scams are often run by human trafficking victims in Southeast Asia. And according to CNBC, it's rare for Western law enforcement to arrest perpetrators of these scams. So in December, However, federal prosecutors arrested 4 men. That's good news. 3 in Southern California and 1 in Chicago for allegedly stealing more than $80 million in a pig butchering operation. Jordan, how do we protect our loved ones? How do we protect ourselves? I don't want to be pig butchered.
I mean, part of it, unfortunately, is on the victims or potential victims being diligent, not just trusting strangers. But unfortunately, they're preying on people who are in a vulnerable position or putting themselves in a somewhat vulnerable position, sadly, by trying to find love and companionship. And they're exploiting those people who are potentially very lonely. And that's unfortunate and malicious. To get to the real root of the problem would be to undercut the entire premise of cryptocurrency or blockchain technologies. I don't really care if we do that. I think they would recoil at that. That industry would recoil at that because anonymity is kind of baked into the concept and the design. But like they're pushing back against regulation and they're funding a ton of candidates. They're donating. They did for a while blanket the airwaves with ads. I'm sure you remember the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Just every ad was a crypto ad, and then it just collapsed. But look who's pushing it now. It's Trump. He's the one he spoke at the Bitcoin conference. He's doing another round of NFTs again. He's accepting cryptocurrency. He's pushing it. He's saying he would lean into it, enrich it, promote it if he's reelected. These are people who don't see, this is the people who are getting excited about this and really excited about it are the people who are in a position to make money off of people who get duped by it. It is purely a speculative asset. It's not a viable alternative currency. It's something that they hope they can make money by selling their coins at a high or selling their assets at a high price to new entrants into the market and leave them holding the bag.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the way it works right now, that's certainly the case. And a lot of it is hype, right? Like, so the hype increases the value. And it is sad. I remember during COVID, there were things like Dogecoin, and there were people who literally took out loans in order to invest in these cryptocurrencies. And at first, the value shoots up. You have Elon Musk on Twitter also encouraging people to buy, which is going to increase the value. And there were a lot of pump and dump schemes happening during COVID. So that's also part of this equation. But to your point, I mean, crypto has played a pretty big role in our elections in recent years. They've spent a lot of money on lobbying. They will obviously lobby to politicians on both sides of the political aisle. What you mentioned about Trump is absolutely correct. But one of the surprising developments that I came across last year or the year before was Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, going around and attempting to protect crypto from possible regulation. And look, that's the illness in our political system, right? The money that flows into the campaign coffers of these politicians, it has a lot of sway over their lawmaking, their decision making. And in the end of the day, the people that get hurt are, as you said, vulnerable people, in some cases looking for love. By the way, those dating apps have all sorts of scammers involved, which really makes me sick to my stomach. Like, I personally have a loved one who was extorted. Like, so talking to someone on there, thought that they had a connection. She eventually sends him a racy image. At that point, they've conversed enough that he knows about her kids, knows about her family, and then says, after getting the racy images, give me X amount of, dollars. And if you don't, I'm going to send this to your kids. And it was terrible. Like, she was like ashamed. And I just told her, I was like, first of all, do not send him the money. Second of all, tell him, go ahead. Like, what do you think? Your kids are going to disown you? Like, but people feel shame and they feel scared. And then they end up, falling for the scam when these people need to be like, I don't know. There needs to be more protection on these apps to ensure that these scammers aren't like preying on vulnerable people. But it happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, on the Gillibrand part, I mean, when she was promoting it, she was saying, oh, cryptocurrency should be part of investment accounts and retirement accounts. It should be
I remember
401k. And just like the timing of her saying that, now we know why, it was her and others were getting a ton of money from Sam Bankman-Fried. And the timing of that was ridiculous because it came when those assets and those cryptocurrencies were trending upward, and then most of the market collapsed. Bitcoin has kind of stabilized a little bit, but other things are worth maybe 25% or lower than where they were a few years ago. You want that to be in people's retirement accounts? That is something you sincerely, genuinely think, or is it just because you're getting a bribe from that industry, from that large donor? And it really shows it doesn't matter what they come to these people with. If the price is right and they're willing to fund these campaigns and donate to their campaigns, they'll say anything, even if it's to your detriment, no matter which side of the aisle they're on.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what the policy is, doesn't matter what the issue is. The money talks, and we got to do something about that because nothing else really matters. I do feel like that is the root of a lot of bad decisions that are made in Congress. And by the way, obviously that money has an impact on who gets elected because the more money you have, the more ads you can buy and the more voters you can sway. And it just doesn't seem like a great democratic process, if you ask me.